Over the last week, I've been doing Wim Hof breathing every day for an hour. So I'm going to talk about my experience with it, the pros, the cons, maybe some warnings, and just the general effects of the practice that I was doing. So first, I decided to do this just because, I don't know, I'm kind of bored, and was a Wim Hof retreat about a year ago over Valentine's Day where he recorded two 1 hour long breathing sections. I bootlegged those and recorded them so I could watch them whenever I wanted. Throughout the year, I've been watching them on and off. Maybe once a month, I'll do an hour or a half an hour. I really enjoy them. I love Wim Hof. His energy is really cool, and the vibe is just super fun. So I thought this would be a cool challenge for me. I I have other spiritual, meditative health practices. I routinely take cold showers regardless of my breathing. I'm also a few weeks into a semen retention, which I think can attribute a lot of the really big positive benefits I saw from this past week of breathing. A lot of the luck and a lot of the just overall charisma and vibe. But I'll talk more about that later when I talk about the cons and the pros and all that stuff. So with that said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the pros that I noticed. Overall energy levels, insane. I have been going to the gym. Well, like I said, I routinely work out. I go to the gym pretty regularly, maybe 5 times a week. But when I do that, I usually don't have a very long yoga practice or do walks or any other sort of physical activity. But for this past week, my energy levels have been so high that I've been walking, I've been doing yoga, I've also been going to the gym, which has been pretty cool. I haven't really felt any crashes, and my body's felt really, really good and strong, which has been really nice. But again, this could be attributed to my semen retention because I found once I get 2 or 3 weeks into a retention, my body heals pretty quickly and my energy levels are drastically increased. If anything, I think those two things combined are really affected that. Another thing is luck. I've noticed I'm a lot more lucky for the past few days, at least. I find just things come to me a lot more easily. I feel much more in flow. I feel grounded. I feel connected to God in ways that I don't always feel, although I spend a lot of time trying to feel that. So yeah, that's been a good thing as well. My stamina has increased dramatically. So when I'm saying I'm going to the gym and I'm walking or running and doing any other sort of physical activity, I don't get gassed quite as easily. I can maintain a consistent state of output uh, that I think is definitely linked to my breathing. Because this is something I don't really feel when I'm just doing cold showers or I'm just doing a meditation practice or I'm just on a retention in general. I feel incredibly able to push myself past a point where I otherwise wouldn't be able to, which has been great. Wim Hof talks a lot about being the witness, and a lot of meditation coaches and teachers talk about being the observer, disconnecting from the reality that you see in front of you and moving further into the back of your mind. A yoga teacher that I really like named Charles Muir, he calls it the yoni of the mind. When you witness things from the back space of your head instead of in the front lizard part of the brain. I found that over the course of increasing the length of the breath holds, I was able to disassociate in a good way, I think, from the sensations of my body, the urge to really want to breathe, the urge to really want to move away from whatever I'm doing because it's super uncomfortable, and just allow myself to witness my body freaking out, my mind sort of wondering, is this bad? And am I doing it too long? Or all the weird fluctuations that go on in my mind, and really just sit back into the back part of my brain and just be aware and to be the witness, as Wim Hof says. There's a pretty cool example I had of this at the gym where I was super tired. Was at the end of my workout and I was feeling sweaty and exhausted and I forgot my water bottle and I was feeling done. But I sat for a second, I took a breath, and I remembered to allow myself to be the witness. I settled back into the back of my mind, the yoni of the mind, if you will, and I became present again to the moment and to the fact that I'm actually in control of this body and this reality to an extent, and that I could keep going. And I actually did keep going, and it felt really good. But I did crash after that. I think the practice now for me will be figuring out ways to maintain that sense of disconnection from feeling out of control with my body and my mind. Also, another cool thing I've noticed when I do these breathing exercises outside, especially when I open my eyes in between rounds and I sort of settle into the moment, my vision feels especially clear. I don't really know how to describe this. It feels sort of like if you've taken mushrooms or LSD and you have these moments of like ultra high definition vision where things are just clear and you can see everything and it just feels more vibrant and alive. I've noticed that happens quite often when I'm doing these breathing exercises, especially towards the end. The first day, two, three, I felt good. I felt energized. The latter half of this challenge, I noticed a distinct increase in vivid clarity in the things I saw around me, which is really really cool. So some of the cons. At times, it was extremely energy draining. The classes were an hour long, so it was 9 rounds of breath holding, intense breathing, and after a while, I would feel different parts of my body begin not just to ache. Okay, so yeah, it was really energy draining for the latter half of the challenge. Sometimes, some days, on day 6 and day I want to say 4, I had to take a nap pretty soon after. Not a long nap. I didn't sleep the rest of the day, but I had to close my eyes for about 15 minutes because my body felt energetically drained. I'm not sure if that was just because I'm releasing a lot of things from my body through my breath, and I just needed to process and recover, or the physical effects of using my lungs and my abdomens and increasing and slowing down my heart rate really just took a toll. But either way, it was energetically draining slightly. Overall, it dramatically increased my energy, but there was definitely a crash after. I don't know if you've ever experienced this just going to the gym and you have a good workout, you feel really good, but you get home, you want to eat, you want to take a little nap. And that's kind of what I felt sometimes doing. The overall time commitment was also kind of brutal. Doing an hour of this a day was really hard to fit in. I eventually found a good time of day to do it, but yeah, it's an extra time commitment that I don't know if it actually benefited me in the way that I would have liked to. I think maybe a 20-minute, half an hour breathing practice would have had a very similar effect. Um, but yeah, the challenge was an hour. The classes were an hour long, so that's what I did. I had some minor weird aches, feelings in my body. My lungs sometimes felt like, woof, I'm tired of breathing. My heart space sometimes felt a little, how can I put it, sort of closed in. Not painful or like it didn't feel like I was having some sort of like heart problem, but it definitely felt like a lot of energy was passing through my center chakra and my heart chakra and my torso in general. So it felt a little heavy at times. This only lasted maybe an hour after the practice and maybe for a few moments during the practice. Nothing long term, nothing substantial. Um, I didn't even think I really needed to mention it just because it sort of passed pretty quickly, but I thought it was pretty important. So if you do experience, or if you do a challenge similar to this and you experience something like that, then you know that it's probably normal and you're just okay. Wim also always talks about how if you feel your body temperature changing or any sort of fluctuations in your body, that it's completely normal and it's just energy passing through your body. So again, I think it's completely okay, but I did feel some weird things sometimes. And that's about it. I think the main takeaway was that super fun. I still don't know if I can attribute a lot of the really cool positive benefits I felt from this strictly from the breathing. I think again the semen retention practice is like a integral part of like how good I feel in general. But I do feel like the breathing practice has increased my capacity to really feel those benefits, to really ground myself into the space where I'm aware of how lucky I am and how vivid and alive and abundant the world is around me. Also, it's really fun to do these breathing practices in a park. It's a nice excuse just to go outside and have some time to yourself. It's also really cool to notice people in the park walking around, seeing you breathing, having a moment to yourself, and knowing that you're doing something positive for yourself. You're taking care of yourself, and hopefully that ripples out to other people to inspire them to maybe come to the park and sit and breathe and just be with themselves and be with nature. I don't know if I can recommend anyone doing this for an hour for every day for a week like I did. It was pretty fun. I'm sure people do this for multiple hours for multiple weeks, and this is nothing to some people. But if you're like me and you have a pretty consistent meditation practice, a pretty consistent breathing practice, and you just wanted to try something a little more extreme just to see how it makes you feel, I say go for it. Maybe start off with 6 rounds, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then work your way up to an hour. I really, really, really can't stress enough that it was fun and I wasn't doing it to experience any sort of specific benefit. And I really just wanted to be present and aware and feel what came up as I was doing this practice. Overall, I'll probably continue to do these breathing practices. I love Wim Hof. For a while, I was doing, there's on YouTube, there's a 3 round, I think it's 10, 15 minutes, really simple breathing practice that I would do after my morning meditations. And I felt like that really got me into a good zone, mental state in the day. I would switch that up with other breathing practices like breath of fire or box breathing. But Wim is very, very fun and it's very unique. And yeah, I have nothing but basically good things to say. And I do encourage you to just try a breathing practice if you don't have any right now. This is the first video I've ever made sort of like this, where I'm talking about my weird practices that I do, the challenges I impose upon myself. So if you like this, please subscribe. I'll keep doing more. I'm actually going to make a video about the effects of my semen retention practice and accompaniment with breathing and yoga and the gym and the overall benefits I have with all of that. But thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this and maybe inspired you to get outside and try some breathing. Thanks.